Hey all, Board Game Rants here where you'll find everything solo, tabletop gaming, and more. Looking to do a solo playthrough of Trismegistus. Let's have a look at this pretty involved game. So in Trismegistus, you play an alchemist looking to develop your board, work the ingredients so that you can perform experiments which allow you to unlock your formulas, which you'll put in your Philosopher's Stone, all of which can trigger bonuses. You're going to have a mastery track that you're going to work your way up on that's going to allow you to perform your experiments along with the necessary ingredients. And we're going to be going up against Botmegistus here, which is represented by this deck of cat cards. And I have chosen a souped up difficulty level. I've played this a number of times now, and so I've got Botmegistus kind of ramped up a bit, and so he's going to start with a little more gold and an experiment and up. You know, the tracks, gray is going to represent Botmegistus, starting up those mastery tracks. Of course, this is the maxed out area up here, and if you make it all the way up there with one of your tokens representing the elements of air, water, fire, and earth, you're going to score points if you really work a track. And I start at 0. And being aspiring alchemists here, I've got a, I forget what these are called. Sort of like an end game scoring bonus. What are these called? They are called publication cards. And I start off with, I had a choice between two different master experiments and then just basic experiments. This is a starting one, as denoted by that little S there. So this is about as easy as it gets. I just need to have 2 masteries in fire and use these 2 ingredients to be able to perform this fiery experiment. And you start off with, so here's my board. Everybody gets a personal board, and each personal board is a little different. There's actually so these are representing this character right here, and but you'll notice up here there's actually 4 other characters. So there's 4 other different boards, and the boards are the same where this area is concerned and where your ingredients, which you're going to be manipulating here, are concerned. But your Philosopher's Stone, well, the shape is the same, but the different bonuses you'll trigger are unique to this board. And actually even the little formulas, as you unlock them after you perform experiments, like if I perform a red experiment, it'll go up here and I'll unlock a formula. The little bonuses on those are different per character. So there's some variety there, which is very cool. And I got my little starting artifact there. Over here, we've got the main board. And so this is where, here there's 6 bowls, if you will. And you roll these dice to determine what you have available for this particular round. There's going to be 3 rounds. And in each round, we're going to take exactly 3 dice. And those dice are going to power our actions, as you shall see. Already went over the little mastery board here. Here's where we can grab artifacts according to the round that we're in, round 1. And then up here we have a bunch of round 1 experiments that we can possibly pick up. And there's 4 different colors of experiments. And let's see, up here this is telling me who gets to go first. And then experiments to replace experiments. We got some gold and various tokens. Essence, we have some essence tokens up here. We're going to be using essence a lot, as you shall see, as we transmutate our ingredients to be able to perform our experiments. A lot of manipulation is going to be going down here in this little U-shaped areas, and you can see we've got different ingredients. This is lead, we've got copper here. If it's down here, it is raw copper or unrefined, whatever you want to call it. And this is refined. So refined stuff is going to go in the square boxes, if you will. And then the raw material is going to go in these little circle areas. And so you start off with raw copper, raw tin, raw mercury, and lead, which is always in its raw state. And then over here, though, you can get into the real good stuff like silver and gold. And gold is a nice wild thing that you can use basically in place of anything. So we're going to get going. It's very generally at the end of those 3 rounds, I should say, whoever has the most victory points based on, you're going to score victory points when you complete experiments are going to be worth points. Your master experiment, of course, you want to get done. That's worth a lot of points. And you're going to get points for how far you develop your Philosopher's Stone as you put stuff in here. It's going to trigger different things, and then based on how many you get, is going to give you points at the end, and you're going to get points for just all sorts of stuff. And it just all has to do with how many experiments you get going, and formulas you unlock, and etc. Artifacts that you collect, and also to your publications. If you get the right elements, then you're going to score these bonus points at the bottom. You can get more publications. And the way I'm playing this, I'm actually going to have Botmegistus go first, and I'll just kind of explain as we go. You'll see that there's a lot of, it's really helpful to get to know the symbols and the colors. So, really getting the hang of the color of the dice and how they correspond with the symbols is pretty, paramount to being able to play this game well, because there's going to be a lot of manipulation involved with that, and all these mechanics are going to kind of chain reaction and combo nicely if you can pull it off. Let's see if we can pull it off. Starting with Botmegistus. So, Botmegistus is going to flip over a card, and so Botmegistus gets a startup deck here of some basic cards, and then this little personality card, which was determined. And so what's going to happen, this is kind of its strongest card in its deck right now. Everything else is basic in here. This is telling us that Botmegistus wants to take a red Mercury symbol die with the highest potency. So potency is an important thing, and looking out here, it'll always take a wild one. This represents wild. You can change these into any of the symbols. This is a wild symbol. But this particular one, there happens to be a red Mercury, and then its potency is determined by the total number in the bowl that you take it from. So in this case, it's 5. So it's going to take this, it's going to bring it on over here, and this little blue track is going to represent its potency, which is how strong the die is. It's going to go all the way up to the 5. A lot of times it will boost it with this ethereal token to go up 1 more, but it doesn't have to in this case because that die is already maxed out. That was a very nice choice here for Botmegistus. So Botmegistus is going to spend, so it's got its die. Now it's going to spend 1 potency, 2, depending on if it is behind me in this particular mastery track of water or ahead of me, it's going to do one of these 2 things. Well, we look up mastery track of water. Botmegistus is ahead by 1, so if it's ahead of me, Botmegistus is going to get 5 points, and then it's going to go up on fire, earth, and air mastery tracks. So here is fire, here is earth, unfortunately, and here is air, and then 5 points is kept track up here, and then it did trigger this little bonus thing. As you go up on the mastery tracks, there's little bonuses here too. This particular bonus would be a chameleon token, which would allow you to change, basically change it's like a wild token for a die. If I picked any die out here and then I was using it, I could use this to change it to whatever color I wanted, whatever symbol I wanted. But the way Botmegistus handles this is just discards it and gets another 5 points. So to start off the battle, the very first turn, Botmegistus has 10 points. That did not go well for us. But now Botmegistus is done, I have a chance to react to that. You start off with 2 reaction tokens, and so I would flip this over if I wanted to use it. If I wanted to react to that, I would basically be using his die as if it was my own. But I'm not going to get into that quite yet. It's pretty early in the round. Let's just take our turn. What we're trying to do here is get going with our experiments. So we've got an experiment here, red one, and we need to get some refined tin and refined mercury. Well, right now we have raw mercury and raw tin, and I placed this artifact here on purpose so that as I transmutate this into, you just follow a little track up into refined mercury, it will trigger any artifact that's in a slot that has to do with that track that gets worked. You can activate it. And so, but before I can activate anything, I need to have a die to work with. And so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pick something. A lot of times I just go for the most potent bowl, and this, right now it would be right here. It would get me a potency of 4. So I'll go ahead and take, I want to also transmutate on a white track. So it's going to matter. The symbol matters for, if you're interested in the ingredients part, and but also the color matters. So I'm going to take this white dye and I'm going to put it over here. That is going to be potency 4 because I took it from this bowl, which had potency 5 when Botmegistus took it, but it's only 4 for me. So there I have that. Now I can use it. And so when you're taking your turn, you're going to use potency. And depending on what you use it for, it's going to trigger different things. Well, one of the things you can use it for is to do a transmutation. And I want to take this raw tin and I want to transmutate it into refined mercury. To do that, I have to spend 1 potency, and then I can take this little cube representing raw tin, work it along this track, which is a white track, and you can see there's a red track here, well, it's kind of reddish, and a black track here, so that's where the color of the dyes matters, because you can only do transmutations along the that white track in this case. Doing that, I have to spend an essence to perform that transmutation. And that's where these little essence symbols come to effect. So there's salt, essence of sulfur, and essence of ether. There's also mercury in its raw state is used as an essence as well. And these are all related to a mastery track, which I'm about to show you here. Right now, I want to work up on my fire track because I need to have 2 mastery in order to perform this experiment. Now, looking over to the right here, I can see that salt, this game, and you can randomize it each game, salt is the essence I want to use to complete this transmutation. And I'll discard this so that I can look, and you can see the fire track here is associated with the essence of salt, and that allows me, I move up 1 on that mastery track. I need to get to 2 before I can perform my experiment. So that also, when you do this transmutation thing, if there's an artifact that's flipped over so you can use it, you can activate it if you've transmutated along that particular track. And I did. So now I can take this, and it's telling me go up on the fire track, and it's worth a fire element symbol at the end of the game, which matters for scoring. But I can go up on this fire track 1 space. So I get to go back over here and scooch up. There I am. Now I'm at 2. So now I'm at 2. Which, for this, I need 2, and then I need a refined tin and a refined mercury. Well, I got the refined mercury. Now I just need to refine this raw copper into refined tin. So, I am now done with my turn, and we're going to bounce back over. I've used this, so I flipped over. I can't use this again. I can reactivate it. That's one of the things I can use potency for, but I doubt it. Well, we'll see what happens. Anyway, it's back over to Botmegistus this turn. We flip over a card. Now, as long as Botmegistus has a die and potency to work with, it ignores this spot. So it will. It's going to spend 1 more potency, and it's going to get a gold. And at the end of its last turn, I forgot, although it's not that big of a deal, if it ever has any incomplete experiments, it's going to try and complete them. And all it has to do, it keeps it simple. You don't have to worry about all this stuff over here. You just have to worry about the mastery track. And as long as can afford to, it's going to perform this experiment based on where it's at on a master track. Well, Botmegistus is at 4 on the Earth mastery track. Excuse me. So this is no problem at all for it. So it would have completed this experiment, which then all I do really is put it over here to denote that it's been completed, and it's going to be worth points at the end for a couple of different reasons. But at the end of each of Botmegistus' turn, you're supposed to check and complete any of its experiments. And so I'm just taking care of that now. Anyway, so this just happened, spent its potency, got its gold, which this can help it. It's going to be worth points at the end, and this can also help it achieve these experiments. And we're done. Now, again, I could react to this. So I can react as if this die is mine. So I could do, for instance, a transmutation along a red track because this is a red die. I could get a mercury, a raw mercury, because that's what this symbol denotes. So I could go grab a little yellow token and put it on there. Now, yellow, a lot of times, you go, oh, it's gold. No, tokens it just matters where they are on this board that denotes what they are. So if this was here, it's a gold, but it's not gold just because it's a gold token. Keep that in mind. These are just kind of generic tokens. Another thing I could do is if I reacted to that, I could use that die to reactivate my artifact if I wanted to do that. But right now, one thing that I'm going to want to do is use these before the end of the round, because you only get to, they're going to reset anyway. But Botmegistus is moving real slow, so I don't have to hurry up and use these. So I'm just going to take my turn here, because I don't really have anything I'm dying to do. But I don't need to take a die, because I've already got one out here. I want to work this over here, but I can't because I need to do a black transmutation, and this is a white die. So the other thing I can do, though, is I could take this, I could use this one potency, or however many I wanted, really, and I could get one of these tokens and put it on the corresponding ingredient, which would be raw mercury in this case. And I could do that 3 times. I could get 3 raw mercury if I wanted. You saw transmutation. I could also use one potency of any die to reactivate an artifact. And I can also get, essence associated with this symbol. It's a little confusing. Mercury, raw mercury, is considered an essence as well as its ingredient, but we're not going to do that. The other thing I can do is spend 3 potency and then get an artifact. The artifacts are down here. I have to get the artifact associated with the color of my die, which is white, so it's going to be here. So let's have a quick look at these. Of these 2 artifacts, I like this one better. This one I'd have to reduce a mastery in one area, and then 3 times I could get any essence that I want. This one I can get 2 times I can get any essence that I want for free. So I'm just going to take this one. I don't want to be going down on any mastery tracks right now. This I'm going to place, knowing that I'm going to be using this transmutation track, I'm going to put it here. But one nice thing is that when you purchase an artifact, you get to use it right away, and you don't have to flip it over like you've used it. You basically get to activate it for free. So I'm going to get 2 essence. And I'm really trying to work up on using salt essence, so I can work up on my fire track. So I'm going to get 2 salt essence, and then I am done. And this stays face up, so I can use it again if I use this track, which I'm going to. Now this, I have used up its essence because it costs 3 potency to do what I just did. So this is going to go in there. It's one of the 3 die I've used this round. Now we go back over to, and Botmegistus never reacts to anything I do. So we flip this over. Botmegistus is just plodding along here with 1 activation. Again, it ignores this because it has a die. And now this is telling me it's going to get an experiment card having to do with this symbol. So we look over here. This is the symbol associated with it, which means it can take an experiment for this area. There's only 1 available, so it's going to take it. Normally there's a little tiebreaker thing you have to work with, but not in this case. And then, and this is saying that if it couldn't take an experiment, it would just get gold, but it could. And so now we look here, and we can see that we have 2. It needs 2. Again, it ignores the ingredients part here. We have to pay attention to that. Botmegistus does not. Just needs to be 2 on the mastery track of air. It is at 3. It gets to complete this. So it's going to go over there. And that is Botmegistus' turn. Now I could go if I really wanted to. Do I really want to? Not really. But before we get going, actually, you're supposed to, if you take an experiment of the current round you're in, which is 1, you replace it. So we'll replace that. Ooh, fire. I like that. Oh, yeah. You know what? We really like that because we could react now to this die, which again would allow me to take an experiment from that area just like Botmegistus was able to. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to react to Botmegistus' turn. And using the symbol on there allows me to take an experiment. And I can have up to 2 unfinished experiments. That's not including the masterpiece one. This is kind of in its lonesome, but I can have up to 2 incomplete experiments. So now I'm at my maximum. but I'm kind of working fire right now. So now we replace this again. Another fire one. Okay, and now it is my turn, and I've used one of my 2 reactions. Well, I want to do a black transmutation so I can complete this experiment. I'm 1 mastery away from being able to do this. So first things first, this is actually going to bump up my mastery. It's going to be a one-time immediate effect of completing this experiment. You'll see. But I need a black die out here. And I want a black die of the highest potency, but not too interesting. Well, you know, I've got to kind of also, you want to balance it out. For instance, here, this publication is going to give me 2 points per artifact that has either an air symbol on it or an earth symbol on it. Well, I've got an air symbol on this one. This has a fire symbol. So you don't want to just focus on one. You're going to want to kind of spread it out a little bit. So I am going to go ahead, and I think of the potencies here, I'm going to take this black one. This the 4 represents tin. And I'm going to put that 3 because it had 3 in the bowl when I took it. And so now I am going to use 1 potency to do a transmutation. I'm going to transmutate raw copper into refined tin. And that I could do because I used a black dye to do it. And I have to spend a little pinch of salt to do it. And that is going to have us moving up on this track. Kind of racing. I'd like to get this ethereal token before Botmegistus does. Those are very handy. And but in that process too, I ran the track that this artifact is associated with, so I get another 2 essences of my choice. Very nice. And I think I am going to just keep it simple. Well, you know what? One thing I'm going to get, one thing I can take again is essence of and it even shows it, you know, mercury, raw mercury is an essence. So I'm going to put this little token there because I may want to be transmutating up here to refined copper to complete other things later. But then I'm also just going to take another salt. So there we go. All right. So that was my turn. And now we're going to go back over to Botmegistus, see what we're going to do here. Okay. So again, ignores here, but it's going to spend 2 potency. Now, if it was going to spend 3 potency, it would still get to do its action. It runs it off the track either way. And now this is telling me it's going to go up on the air mastery 2 times. Ah, what a bummer. So boom, boom. It's going to get this bonus, which is an ethereal token, which allows it to bump up the potency of a die. We'll put that there for now. So, do I want to react to this red die again? I could if I wanted, but I don't really have any big reason. I can't get another experiment because I'm already maxed out. Well, I could have actually performed my experiment, as you'll see, as a free action, but we're going to just put this here for now. Botmegistus is done, and it goes back over to me. Now, as free actions, you kind of have seen really kind of a one-sided thing. Well, you've seen me take artifacts with potency. You've seen me do transmutations with potency. Again, the other thing I can do is spend 1 to reactivate any artifact. And I can also I could spend 1 and get a raw material associated with that. So I could spend this and get a raw tin if I wanted. And those all become like the action that you take for your turn, and then you're done. But there's a set of free actions that you can do. Those free actions include performing an experiment. So, before my turn even gets started here, I can perform this experiment. And I'm going to, because it says I have to be up on the fire track 2 spaces, and I'm actually at 3. And then I have to spend these 2 refined goods, refined tin, refined mercury. So I put these back in the tray, and I perform this experiment. Doing that triggers this ability, this one-time thing, which allows me to move up once on this track, which I am definitely going to do, because now, boop, I get this bonus token, which is an ethereal token. And we'll grab that. This goes in my supply right there by my reaction tokens. We'll use that for sure. But also, the first time you complete an experiment, and you'll see I put it above the little red section. If you do a green experiment, you put it there. If you do a blue experiment, you put it there. And this yellow is for the black experiments. I don't know if that was some kind of weird error, but it's weird. Anyway, First time you complete an experiment, though, you can pick one of the formulas. You discover a formula. So I could take this, which would give me 3 of any kind of raw ingredient, or I could pick this, which allows me to go up twice on a mastery track. Woo! I like the raw materials right now. And I don't have to use this right now. What I do have to do is pick a spot, though, in this Philosopher's Stone here. Now, you kind of want to go for a track. As soon as you complete a row, so like if there's like, this is filled up, you would get to activate this little bonus and this little bonus. And same with the columns. If you complete a column, you immediately activate top and bottom. So this doesn't complete a row or a column at all, but I'm kind of gearing up to be able to get myself some more raw ingredients. So I'm going to put this here, and then I'm going to go ahead and flip it to use this formula. You can do this anytime. This is a free action as well. And I'm going to flip this over. That allowed me to get 3 raw ingredients. And what I'm trying to do now is complete this experiment. I need silver and refined mercury and refined copper. To do that, I'm going to need to look at what I need to transmutate to get to there. So I want to get a raw copper and to change into silver. I already have mercury. Wait, no, I don't need that. No, I need a raw tin to refine into the mercury. And then I'm going to need copper. So this is going to go that way, but why don't I just go ahead and get, for my 3rd raw ingredient, I'll get one of those. So now I haven't even taken my turn yet. That was all free stuff. So now I get to go. So now what do I want to do? Well, I could have used this to get, you know, a raw tin instead, but no, I think I'm just going to do some more transmutations here. I'm just going to bump this up 1. I could do 2 as well. I could go 2 transmutations, take both of these, slide them down, and I'd have to use 2 essence. You know, I could be the same or different in order to perform that transmutation. But I'm just going to kind of take my time because Botmegistus is taking its time as well. So 1 potency, 1 transmutation. There's no artifact here, so I can't trigger it. I'm going to use, let's see here. Well, let's see what we might be looking to get out here. Now we've got water here that we could work up on, and ooh, that'll help us get some work up on tracks. We just need 2 water, huh? So yeah, that'll probably be my plan for my last potency, is to use that symbol associated with that tin in order to get this experiment. So let's use what it takes to move up on the water track, which is a raw mercury essence. To do that transmutation, I'll turn this in. That allows me to move up on this track, and now I'm at 1, which is close to being able to do that water there. I'm going to do kind of a fire-water thing here, see how it goes. I am now done with my turn, and we go back over. We have that die has been used completely by Botmegistus, so we have to start up here this time. Botmegistus wants to take a red die, and then would take mercury before taking tin. So we look up here, and we look at mercury, we look at tin, and we can see there's that it wants to take the highest potency as well. So with mercury, would get 3, but there's no red die there. Tin, it only gets 2, but there is an actual red tin die there. So it's going to end up taking this, and it has a potency of 2, but it will always use, if it can, and you can only use 1 at a time, an ethereal token. That boosts the potency of your die by 1. So there we have that. Now, Botmegistus is going to, we just kind of work our way top down, and going to use 2 potency to get, oh no, son of a gun, it's going to steal the very, I was just talking about wanting this. Well, we may have to go for the other water one, but it's going to take the associated experiment with that symbol. There's the symbol right there on the board, and grabs it, and now, can it perform that experiment? Well, it just needs to be up 2 on the mastery track of water, but on water right now, it's only at a mastery of 1. So that's where it will use gold to make up the difference. So it doesn't move its token, it just uses gold to pretend now that it has a mastery of 2. If it needed a mastery of 3 water, we would use 2 gold. But in this case, Just needs to bump up its mastery of water one level to be able to successfully complete that experiment at the end of its turn. Ah, what a bum deal. But we get to flip this over and see what we have here. Oh, okay. So Earth, that gets us some stuff. Well, I've got that. I was going to be working that anyway. Well, at this point, we will, let's see here. Do we want to use this die? We still have the ability to react red if we wanted. I would have used it to grab that. Well, okay. Anyway, water under the bridge. Let's go ahead and hold off. On my turn here, I've got this. I think what I'm going to do, knowing that I'm going to... What? Oh, I could just continue to work this. I need black. I want to complete this now, or go after this water up here. But that looks like it requires a lot, and I'm only one. I haven't really committed yet to water, so maybe let's just take a look at this. This is still easy enough. Yeah, let's go ahead and try to work this. So you know what? I'm going to backtrack. I'm going to use this die to react based on this. This symbol allows me to grab this experiment. So I'm going to grab this experiment because I can have up to 2 incomplete experiments. I'm going to put that there. It only needs 2 mountains there, or 2 earth to trigger that. I'm still working on this. There is no more experiments to replace anything with, so I'm going to leave that as is. I'm going to go up here knowing that, let's see here, I'm probably going to be transmutating not here to here, but from here to here. I'm going to use this one black potency here, well, just any potency, to reactivate this artifact there. And then I will be done. That was my turn. So back over to Botmegistus, flip this over. Already has a die still. Oh man, really gets to maximize this use too. Would have to spend 3 if it had them, but otherwise it just spends what it can. Now it's going to go up. Now this symbol over here, on here, I don't know, it just says advance your marker 1 space on your mastery track. And it even says something similar to that here in the solo rules too. But I just found the game was a little too easy. So I kind of have interpreted it to mean, see it says here, this is for Botmegistus here. It says, with any of these, it moves up the indicated tracks, you know, as indicated. But this symbol here, it says, or the mastery track it is currently the lowest on. So I'm managing that small arrow means move up on the track it's lowest on. But that to me, I feel like that means do it 3 times. So that's the way I play it. Whether that's wrong or right, I mean, it makes the game tougher, but that's what I prefer. So I'm going to say it's going to move up on its lowest track 3 times. It's going to reevaluate each time, too. So first of all, it's lowest on this track, so it's going to move up there. And it's going to do it a second time. It's the lowest on that one, so it moves up again. But now these 2 are tied. The tiebreaker is if it can get a bonus or not, and it can. So it's going to move up on this a 3rd time. It's going to take this, which it will activate, which allows it to move up again on its track. It wants to do its lowest track, which is now this one, and Botmegistus moves up. Then it gets a gold. All right. So Botmegistus is rocking right now up these tracks. We're still only in the first. It just finished its 2nd die in the 1st round. We still got 2 more rounds to go. Head back over to us. Now, I want to transmutate this white over to here because I'm going to need, well, let's just work that angle right now. I'm going to take this to get the most potency, and that is a 3 potency out of that bowl, but I'm going to use this ethereal token to boost that up to 4. Now, I'm going to do a transmutation, just 1. We're going to move this along this track. We're going to use, now, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to use this ether essence, this little pinwheely looking thing, to move up on our earth mastery track. Because you can use whatever essence you want. You just have to use an essence per transmutation you do. And I just did 1. And use this white track corresponding to this artifact. We get to use it and go up once on the fire track. So there we go. I am done. Botmegistus goes again. Boom. Okay. Wants to do a white die and wants either, what is that? That is copper or mercury. So we look up here, wants to do the most potency. So now when it has the option to take a wild one, because it'll match the potent, everything else. Like if it took this, which is one of its symbols here, it would have a potency of 2. As far as copper goes, copper's just got this one red one there, so it's not can't use that. It's either gonna take from here or from here, and it's always gonna take the wild one when there's a tiebreaker, because it can take this white die and it can flip it over to, and it'll flip it over to this leftmost one. So it's gonna flip it over to copper, and it was a potency of 2. It's gonna put it right there, and then it's gonna use its ethereal token here to bump it up. So now it's at a potency of 3. And now it'll spend 1 potency, and it's going to move up 2 spaces on the water mastery. Man. Okay. Now, I am out of reaction, so I can't react to anything. I just have to go. And I'm on my last die. So is Botmegistus. And I think that, so where am I at with my masteries, or with my experiments here? I've got that. I just need a silver, so I would need to move up, but I have to do a red transmutation, and I've got a white die, so I can't do that. That's where these come in handy. If you have a chameleon token, I could pretend this one turn that is whatever I wanted, whatever symbol and whatever color. If I wanted to do a red transmutation, I could discard this and use that die as if it was red, but I don't have one of those. Wishful thinking, but so I'm going to need a silver for this, and then I'm already at 4 on the mastery track, so I'm just 1 silver away from this. Now, if I had a gold, I could use gold in place of anything. So gold would be the wild card too. Anyhow, right now, though, I'm kind of more interested in, I didn't fill this up. As soon as you take artifact, you're supposed to refill it. And what do we have here? Well, we've got 2, I could use all 3 of those to, again, get another artifact here. And let's see what kind of powers we have. Both of them are this air symbol. And again, for my publication, I'm going to get, provided I complete this, which is going to be pretty easy, I think, I'll get 2 points for every artifact with that symbol on it. So I am kind of interested in that. Let's go ahead and do it. We're going to spend these 3 to get another artifact. Which one do we want? Again, I'm not too interested in losing mastery right now. This one would give me a essence, whatever essence I wanted, and then I could change any raw material into a different raw material, which is kind of a nice thing, I think, sometimes. But let's go ahead and do it. Yeah. So we're going to take this. Where are we going to put it? Doesn't really matter too much because this round's over, and these are all going to flip over at the end of the round anyway. Let's just go ahead and put it right here, because I plan on changing some copper into silver here pretty soon. But in doing that, though, I get to automatically, I'm going to get any essence that I want. I'm going to take this ether because I need to move up on Earth mastery now. And then I'm going to switch this mercury. Is pretty easy to get. I'm going to switch this raw mercury into anything different, and I'm going to put it right over there. Oh, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't do that because I need, for my experiment here, let's do this. Instead, we're going to take this raw, lead, and we're going to turn it into mercury. How about that action? Yep, that's what we're going to do with that, because we get to activate this for free when we purchase it. I am done. That spent the last potency on my die. I am done for this round. Let's see, but Botmegistus still has 2 potencies left on his die. Oh, and is going to use them all up to move up twice on the fire track. Oh, and passes me up. All right. And we are done. So, when you're done with a round, what you're going to do is basically get rid of all the... by the way, this is Botmegistus' artifact, so that's why this has kind of been hanging out this whole time. But we're going to get rid of all the current round's artifacts here. And we're going to grab this new stack of artifacts here, and we're going to refill everything back up with the round 2 artifacts. These round 1 experiments are going to stay for now, and we're going to get this new And we're going to place one. These are round 2 experiments, a little harder to pull off, but give you more good stuff. We're going to put one in each of these spaces. Here we go. My understanding is we don't fill this up. We only put one in each empty space. And then, now Botmegistus, so these are going to reset. These die are going to go here. Botmegistus in round 2 gets 2 more ethereal die tokens, allowing it to boost. And then Botmegistus also, we look and we see what it's specializing in. Right now we've got water, air, earth, water. So it's specializing in water right now. So we're going to go over here. We're going to grab one of these 4 cards, the one specializing in water. You can see on the bottom right, it's going to be that one. And we are going to add that to Botmegistus' deck. And then we're going to shuffle that. And that was my awesome shuffle. It's in one of these last 3 cards. And it felt like it was in the middle one. Anyway, it's going to be turning it up very shortly. Along with getting these 2 ethereal tokens. In the 3rd round, it's going to get 3 ethereal tokens and add another specialization. But so Botmegistus is set. We're not going to reshuffle this until this is all gone. On our end, we get to keep everything we still have. We flip over our reaction tokens. We flip over all of our artifacts so they're usable again. And everything else here remains the same except for we take these die off. And now we're going to re-roll the bowls here for round 2. So you just grab all these guys. Well, good thing they're small guys. And we roll them. And now I have to put everybody in their spots. So let's go here, and this goes over here, there. But we can't have any more than 5 in any one bowl. If we do, we have to re-roll that bowl. But it looks like everything's going to turn out. There we go. So that completes round 1. And we'll consider this part 1. And please join me for part 2 as we continue.